What is up, everybody? It's H Dynasty Buffs. How's it going today? Bringing a solo podcast today. We're going to be talking about the post-combine, going over some of the players, primarily quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. We're talking about some of their measurables, what they did, some of the player comps I have for them, ceiling and floors, and then followed by that, we're going to be doing a pick our player, some of the trades that have gone down I've seen with the rookie picks, risers and fallers, and then we're going to conclude with a nice summary of our day and talking about what we're doing next time for our show. Without further ado, let's do it.
It's showtime, folks. It's showtime.
All right, so recently we just saw the 101 go off the board to the Carolina Panthers, and now the Panthers are in control of their future with their future quarterback. Question on everybody's mind is, who do the Panthers end up taking? A lot of the talk is CJ Stroud right now. I think might actually just end up being Bryce Young, but there are reports saying that the Carolina Panthers are willing to trade back and accumulate draft capital, even though they traded away. No idea what they're doing, but who knows what's going to happen. They traded away the 2024 first and DJ Moore. You know what people are thinking, what does that mean for DJ Moore now that he's paired up with Justin Fields? You know, for me, I think his production is going to be the same. Not much more now that he's with more competition, being with Mooney and Chase Claypool, and I guarantee the Panthers end up taking another wide receiver, the Bears are going to end up taking another wide receiver, maybe in Jackson Smith and Jigba. Daniel Jones got a contract. He got a contract extension. Geno Smith got a contract extension. Derek Carr ended up signing with the Saints. A lot of other movements going on right now. Tony Pollard just got the franchise tag on Dallas. Zeke might getting cut. All kinds of stuff going on right now in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers might end up going to the Jets after all. Guess it looks like the deal's pretty much set in stone and done. It's just up to Aaron Rodgers to get it done and pull the trigger on it. We'll see what happens, though. I mean, that's good for Jordan Love. Not really good for Zach Wilson. Jonnu Smith just got extended for the Saints as well. It's just after post-combine, people and the GMs start looking at players and they really want to analyze their teams and see what they can get up in the draft. I hope my Cowboys end up taking Bijan Robinson after his performance at the combine. Arguably one of the best combines we've seen from a running back in a while. He reminds me so much of Ezekiel Elliott that it's kind of scary. Everything, the size, or I should say the height, the weight, their 40 times, their verticals. Bijan tested out a little bit better score-wise and RAS-wise, but it's pretty close to Zeke in terms of comparison and measurables and production coming out of college. All right, so just to bring back, just follow back on some of our old stuff that we talked about in our last podcast. I myself and my partner here, Max, he's not here with me today. We really had our eyes on Anthony Richardson. I don't think anybody expected him to break Cam Newton's records. If you did, you're kind of lying to yourself. I expected him to be an elite athlete, but not that much. CJ Stroud had one of the best throwing drills that we've seen in a long time. I know people were saying Anthony Richardson didn't do a really nice job, but I think he did. I think he did better than expected. He looked like he's been working on his footwork. It's a shame Hooker didn't end up throwing. Levis, I was impressed more so than I expected, but I still am not a fan of Levis as much as the NFL seems to be. Jaren Hall look okay. Looks like he's struggling with some of the accuracy issues again. Less athleticism was there. Stetson Bennett was one of my guys to keep an eye on, who I thought would be a nice riser, and it looks like he did. I think he improved his draft stock, coming back from not going to the Senior Bowl, and he ran a nice 40 time. Athletically wise, he's actually pretty good. And then we talked about some of the running backs. Bijan, Charbonnet, Sean Tucker, Devon, Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tyjae Spears. I was a little upset that Tucker didn't end up testing. It's kind of a shame because he's regarded as a nice track athlete and probably could have really showed out and increased his stock. But him not running and him not doing anything besides measuring in, it's kind of a blow to his stock, but not as much. I think he's gonna have a nice pro day. If you look at his Twitter, he's always got videos of him working out. He's always saying, "Sean Tucker pleased." So I really like the guy. I still have him ranked fairly high, even based upon his production and his college profile. Charbonnet, I was very impressed. He's actually more athletic than I kind of expect. I expected him to run like a 4.49 to a 4.52. Ended up putting up a nice combine, ending up with a 9+ RAS score on MathBomb. Some of the comparisons I have for him, I've talked about on Twitter, and now this post-combine, I can actually nail it down a little bit more. Bijan Robinson, nice, again, 40 time as well. If we pull up, their speed scores. So Bijan Robinson's speed score was 108. Gibbs was 110. Achane 108. Charbonnet is 101. So historically speaking, if you're looking at 40 times, even last year, right? Breece Hall scored at 116. Pacheco scored at 118. There's some more correlation between having a better speed score and more production in the NFL than just running the 40 time. But if you do actually look at, MathBomb's RAS score too, and then looking at mice that I use, it's also been very good too. So we'll go ahead and take a look here at let's look at Charbonnet. Let's keep going with Charbonnet here. I have Charbonnet as a bell cow now, like not a top tier bell cow, as my friend David Wilsey says, bell cow light. I said that he'd probably be a community plus with bell cow upside as well. I comped him to Melvin Gordon and James Conner, and now I'm looking at that. You look at their RAS scores. I'll go ahead and put them up on the board here. RAS score of 8.7, 6'5", 6 foot and 5/8, and he weighed in at 215. Ran a 4.52, vertical jump of 35, broad jump of 10 feet 6 inches. Then we go ahead and pull up Zach Charbonnet's RAS score on MathBomb as well. 9.42. So comparable to Melvin Gordon, 8.75. So Charbonnet ran a 4.53, and as mentioned, Melvin Gordon ran a 4.52. All right, if we look at these RAS scores, both are very close and very similar. I recently spoke to Dave Wilsey on Twitter about this comp, and looking at their per touches, pretty much everything you could think of when it comes to data and stuff, they're very close. They're not a 1-for-1 comparison. Yeah, per touch performance percentile, per game performance, per season performance percentile. They're pretty much right there. They're pretty close to each other. So I have Charbonnet as a Melvin Gordon with a James Conner type floor coming into the league. So I think he'll be a nice piece that you could build around on your dynasty team. Especially you can get him, I guess, kind of the late first round. I think he'll probably end up getting mid to second round draft capital. I could even see the Cowboys taking him in the second round, kind of late. Sean Tucker, I'm still looking at. I'm still keeping my eye on him as he has his pro day coming up and approaching. My comp for him was Javonte Williams. I think he's probably a little bit faster than Javonte Williams. Watching him on film, I see a little bit of Emmitt Smith. Very elusive, has some happy feet. Not the best yards per carry. Players he's like a 3 point something. It's not the best, but production wise, he put up nice rushing production. A great receiving back, had about 15 to 16% of the team's total receptions. Had about 11% receiving yards. He did it really well on the wheel routes. Slants, screens. He lined up out wide. He's a third-year declare. I'm projecting him to, he came in with that nice BMI of 30 plus. Kind of what you want to see of bell cow backs. He's weighing over 200 pounds there. I gave him a nice blocking score. I don't think he's as bad as some people say. You watch him, and he's trying. More than likely, he's probably like a C plus. But that's pretty good compared to some of the other backs. I think he's better than Jahmyr Gibbs as a pass protector. I think he's probably on par, maybe a little bit better than Tank Bigsby, who we'll get into a little bit later. But I'm a big fan of Tucker. Still have him high on my rankings. Still have him within the top 5, top 10 for sure. Achane, Devon Achane had a nice combine as well. Ran a nice 40 time. Had a good speed score as well. I comped him to job at best. I don't think he's going to be as good of a prospect. I don't think he's definitely not going to get the first round draft cap like he did. But that'd be his ceiling. His floor would be Nyheim Hines out of Buffalo, who was used to be on the Colts, probably in his prime. A nice third down back that you can rely upon. And if we watch the drills that Achane did, he also did wide receiver drills. And it looked good. He looked good. He had nice hands. As mentioned in some of my my write-ups on Twitter, I said Achane had actually good to great hands with nice receptions, about 19% receptions. Had good yardage too. Yeah, I like Achane, but I just spoke to somebody else and this kind of got brought up again. But I also said, he's got shades of Raheem Mostert, and I think they're pretty much a comparable 101 as well. Almost. Speed score-wise, yeah, definitely. I'll go ahead and put the RAS scores up here again. So we'll put Achane and then Mostert over here. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. So we look at Raheem Mostert RAS. Yeah, he ran like a 4.38. Nice vertical jump of 40. 5'10", about the same weight, about 195 pounds. Just another freak athlete coming out of college. Achane, I think, is a really, very good athlete as well. Running that 40 time of like 4.32. Probably one of the best that I've seen in a while. It was nice. I got a speed score of 108. So that'd be my comp for Achane. I think he goes in the second round. Again, I can see my Cowboys end up taking him. I really would like him just to go to, the Miami Dolphins. Going to the Dolphins be probably a 1-for-1. Raheem Mostert in his prime. I know San Francisco and Coach Mike at Mike McDaniels now at the Dolphins has been a fan of Mostert as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Achane ends up going to the Dolphins. Some of the ones we looked at, Tyjae Spears. He also had a nice weigh-in. I mean, too bad he didn't run his 40 time. But I'm glad that he did some of the drills and some of the passing drills as well, some of the receiving work. He looked pretty good. I'm not really going to change my rankings on him. I think at best he'll go in the second, but I think realistically he'll probably go in the third or fourth. We'll have to keep an eye on his pro days, make sure that his speed score and RAS and his 40 time end up being as good as we expect him to be. But him not running is always a concern that I always have when looking at running backs and if they decide not to run. Looked at Kendre Miller, Dwayne McBride, Zach Evans. Too bad that none of them ended up testing. Miller pretty much came in at the same size as Bijan Robinson. McBride, he came in at 209 and 5'10". I've seen some of the interviews on him too. Now he goes by Debo, which is kind of funny. I saw that interview. Another one that we talked about was Roschon Johnson. He looked to have a nice combine as well. Looked like he had a good day, and now he's doing some other drills. But we'll just stay on these guys for now. Kendra Miller, Dwayne McBride, Zach Evans. Zach Evans coming in at barely above 200 pounds. That was a real problem. I myself and others thought he'd be coming in a lot heavier, but he didn't, and that's not good. I don't know why. If you're gonna come in that light, like, you better run. But didn't. So, is your real playing weight like 97 pounds? Or is it 198? Just 202 at 5'11". That's screaming. It's like James Cook right there. But he didn't even run. So maybe he's running a 4.4 like 9. 4.45, just something that you don't want to see, and we'll really have to keep an eye on this pro day. I still like him on film. He looks amazing. He looks awesome. Data-wise, he looks pretty decent as well on production. He's actually not a bad blocker either, but like very efficient. Still young. Just a lot of question marks, more question marks than answers, and I don't like that, especially as we get closer and closer to now the NFL draft. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with his draft stock. Tank Bigsby, another one that I was saying that he needs to have a top-end combine to justify his previous draft stock, him being in the second round. He did not test out athletically. He had like a 6.5 RAS score, which is not terrible. It's about average, but I was expecting him to have a better one, and I was hoping that he could have a better one. His profile definitely says that he would be a bell cow type back. He's got the rushing production, receiving work, and he's awesome in the receiving game. You watch him out in the backfield. He's got nice hands, good running back route running, wheel routes, slants. He does some crosses. I've seen one that he actually does a vertical route, and he lines up out wide too in a couple games. But again, just something that you don't want to see. Kind of a bummer, but is what it is. Kenny McIntosh, man, he had probably one of the slowest 40 times that I was expecting. I was expecting him to do better than 4.6. But, I mean, I guess him running is also good, but I'm not happy with that. For me, I thought he'd be more like a Rashad White, just type receiving back. But now, I'm not even sure anymore. I'll have to look more into that. 4.62 is just not good. It's a pretty bad speed score at 89, too. If you look at my breakdowns on Twitter, you can find these too. Another guy that seems to be a hot topic that I was going to do a video on. I'll probably post it here later. You'll see it. Is Israel Abanikanda. Izzy, he weighed in at nice weight. Had that 30 BMI that a lot of people look for in that bell cow role. But, he didn't test. 5'11", 216. I'm disappointed that he didn't run. Especially when people say, like, oh, man, he's an elite track athlete. He's a big dude with, fast speed, explosiveness. But, I watched him on film. I looked at the one Virginia Tech where he has that breakaway. And I posted it on Twitter. To me, he looks like he runs like a 4.52, 4.55 at best. And he didn't run. So I think he's really more like 210, 208. Doing that, your BMI would go down too, which is not good. But if you watch Izzy play, a lot of stuff that I wrote up was lots more vision concerns than I was expecting. He's not very good in traffic. Like, he'll either hit the hole and just explode out, or he'll just get stuffed. And he didn't have that many broken tackles either. I'm just wasn't as impressed at his film. His numbers look good, but his receiving numbers weren't as productive as I was expecting. We'll take a look here. So his his receiving work, he had like 7% of the total team's receptions, had 6% total receiving yards. So, I mean, he was effective and he was on the field and he was on third downs, but not as productive as I want him to be. I don't see Izzy being a top 5 running back for me in this class because of, the physical traits concerns and the receiving work concerns. So for me, he's just a committee back. Committee back with some upside. I'd comp him to Shane Vereen or, Khalil Herbert out of Chicago now. Playstyle-wise, Izzy looks fast, but we don't really know if he actually is fast. I think he's 4.5. A lot of stuff that I was expecting not to see with him, I end up seeing. And I didn't like that. Anyway, I gave him a C+ on the film grade, but he was a little bit better on pass protection than I was expecting as well. Anyway, at the monitor his combine as well. Or, monitor his pro day. And we'll see what his his draft capital ends up being. I think he'll go in the 4th round, maybe 5th round. Just these other running backs I just would rather have, and they have better roles and better archetypes for the NFL than I think Izzy does. All right. Roschon Johnson, he had a nice combine. Eric Gray, Travis Dye, Hunter Lupeck, Deontay Mitchell, Sir Roderick Thompson, Tyon Evans, Evan Hull. Yeah, Evan Hull was probably one of the biggest risers, and Chase Brown as well. Lots of people really like them now because of their athletic profile and then putting up really, really elite numbers at their combine. I really like Chase Brown, but, the age for me is a concern, being 23 years old. That's on the older side. And, and if he's going to be on a contract, maybe you get a year or 2 out of him, but, it depends where he goes in rookie drafts and in the NFL draft too. I can see teams picking him up in the 4th round, 3rd or 4th round, just based upon his athletic profile. Production-wise, Chase Brown was very productive out of Illinois. So, I mean, the profile's there. It's just to see what the NFL is going to do, especially with his age. Again, draft capital. So I'll have some more comps to these guys. I'll put comps to all of them once I finish up all my write-ups and clarify everything by instead of just doing one. But as we get closer to the NFL combine or the NFL draft, I'll end up putting up these guys' profiles. Deneric Prince out of Tulsa, I think will probably be this year's Isaiah Pacheco, just based on his speed score probably alone. I mean, production-wise, he's pretty moderate at Tulsa. Decent production, not elite production. So I think Prince will probably end up going in the 6th round, 7th round, and teams will probably use him to a very similar Isaiah Pacheco role. But I think he's got upside that you can take, maybe in the 4th round. One guy I really was hoping for to hit run would be Deuce Vaughn. As a guy that's 5'5", 179 pounds, man, I was hoping that he'd run his 40 time. He ran his 40 time and he ran like a 4.42. Man, dude, he would probably go maybe the 3rd round for sure. But him not running, him not doing any of the physical measurements probably brings his stock down. The guy's an athlete. I just have no idea why he didn't run. Maybe he didn't run because he didn't want to get outshined by some of the other guys like Gibbs, Achane, Bijan, Chase Brown, Evan Hull. I don't know. Who knows? But we'll have to monitor his pro day. One guy I'm really excited to watch going forward. All right, well, that's enough about the running backs here. I got more and more comps coming forward and going forward with these guys, but I'll end up sharing my rankings here after I finish up. All right, wide receivers: JSN, Quentin Johnson, Josh Downs, Jordan Addison, Kayshon Boutte. JSN now is probably my wide receiver 1. Posted one of the best agility scores that we've seen. The best agility 3-cone that was in this year's draft class. If you watch him, man, he looked good. He looked good in the gauntlet. He looked good on his cuts, his turns. His 3-cone was good. Agility-wise, yeah, probably very, very good. Probably elite agility score. Wide receiver 1. My comp for him would be, my comp was Cooper Kupp, right? I don't think he has elite long speed, and he's not a burner up on a 9. I think he runs probably like a 4.6, which would have been actually a really good score at this year's combine, because everybody was just not doing very well. Addison ran a 4.49 at like 175 pounds. Just not the best. Jalen Hyatt ran a 4.4. It's up 4.4, but everybody expected him to run a 4.2. And Tyler Scott, he also didn't run like a 4.2, 4.3. 4.4 and above was the average. That's just not. It's still good. Still good. But not what we were expecting. So I think if Jason ended up doing the 40, he still would have been better than a lot of the other guys. QJ, Quentin Johnson, he didn't do his 40 time as well. Opted out of it. Didn't do a 3-cone. Did a vertical. Did a broad jump. 40 plus vert. 11 foot plus broad. Just elite. Elite athleticism, but not having those times is also not good. I have him the same, basically. He didn't go up or down for me at all. But I have him at 2 now just because JSN put up those numbers. And I think now the NFL will start looking at JSN more and probably bump him up in their rankings. He'll probably go, mid first round now. And QJ will probably also go maybe before, maybe later, but still go in the first. It's just them 2 now for me. And then I have Addison at his own rank, his own tier. And then, one of the biggest followers for me was Kayshon Boutte. Man, this guy, I was hoping for this guy to have a really, really good combine. I was so disappointed that he bombed it. He pretty much bombed his combine. He did everything that he shouldn't have. He Kyron Williams himself. He David Belled himself. And I really liked the guy. He was very productive his sophomore year. I know he had a down year at LSU, but man, if you watch him on film, he's so good. But jeez, those numbers are bad. I'd be interested to see what the NFL does with him. I'm sure he'll still probably... Maybe he'll go in the second round for sure. He'll probably get picked up in the third. But he went from being a potential wide receiver 1 for me to being a wide receiver 3. Now we got... One of our favorites, again, that we had our eyes on was Andrei Iosivas. That dude put up some of the best combine numbers that we've seen this year, for sure. Rivals Christian Watson. For me, he's this year's Christian Watson. And I mean that in a good way. I know a lot of people were down on Christian Watson, oh, he's out of North Dakota State. He's not good enough. Who cares? It's the underwear Olympics. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to produce. And now look where he's going. Christian Watson's going in the 4th round of startup. You could have got that guy for a 4th round rookie pick. People hated him. People were calling him a bust. People profiled him as a bust already. I was buying all the Christian Watson shares that I could. I mean, look at this. I'll put his RAS score here. Look at this, man. 6'3", 205 pounds, right? 4.43, and a 39 vertical, a 10-foot broad, a 4.12 shuttle, and 6.85 3-cone. Yeah, that's right. Those are some elite numbers, man. And I'll put Andre's here, and I'll put Christian Watson's RAS score right here. But they are pretty similar. And, Christian Watson now is... But, you look at Christian Watson's RAS score here from last year. And I know he was one of the biggest risers post-combine. So I think Andrei will also be a big riser as well. And I would not be surprised if he ends up going, late second, early third round. Who knows? Maybe even goes in the mid-second. Look at Christian Watson, 6'4", 208. He ran a 4.36 40 shuttle, 4.19, 3-cone, 3.96. So, Andrei has a better agility grade, an agility score. But, Christian Watson has a better explosion grade. Andrei, if you look at him on film, I think he can be developed into a pretty good route runner and a nice deep threat as well. They both got the size. So anything, a guy to keep your eye on, a guy you can get late, a guy that you should probably end up picking. He could develop into something, a nice dart throw. A guy that we have our eye on as we go through this process. Going forward. All right, and I'll finish up by talking about Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims was my guy that I said I wanted, and I am putting my flag on, pre-combine, saying I need him, and he will have a good NFL combine. I said he would. And now I'm a little nervous because I don't think I'm going to get any Marvin Mims shares, at all. I've seen him either go in the early second round of rookie draft, or, he goes late. If he goes early, then I don't think I'll be able to get any. But if he goes late, oh yeah. You best believe I'm grabbing all the Marvin Mims shares I can. So if you look at his RAS score here, too, in his combine, 4.38, 40 time, vertical 39, broad of 10 foot plus. Had a decent 3-cone of 6.9. Had some nice splits. Good arm length. Decent hand size for his size, being 5'10". I think he's a blue collar wide receiver, one that you can have on your team that will do everything that you need him to do, and maybe a little bit extra, a little bit more. So right now I have him as a wide receiver, low end wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 2 to low end wide receiver 1 upside. I think he might even end up going into the end of the first round. I think he'd be this year's, Jahan Dotson, but a little bit more athletic. All right, and we'll go to the tight ends here. As we get into the tight ends, we look at people we're looking at: Washington, Mayer, Sam Laporta, Zach Kuntz, Luke Schoonmaker, Luke Musgrave, and Dalton Kincaid. For me now, I have Darnell Washington as my tight end 1. Based on that pure upside, I know he didn't have the most productive receiving work. But man, on day 1, he's going to be on the field because he's probably the best blocker out of all these tight ends. Because he's the best blocker as a tight end, he will be on the field. Versus if you look at a guy like Zach Kuntz, who's very, very athletic, posted the best athletic score that we've seen out of tight ends. If you look at him, though, if you watch him on film, he still has room to grow into his size. He seems like he's not as big. His blocking technique is not as good as his athletic profile. He's a project that you can get, but you can get him later, but he's not going to be day 1 starter. Michael Mayer will probably be a day 1 starter too, but there's not a huge upside. I comped Mayer to Dalton Schultz, and I kind of mean that in a nice way. Like, Dalton Schultz is a decent tight end, but you're never expect him to be Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce. And if you want that Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, I see Darnell Washington. When I watch Darnell Washington, I go, that's Gronk. That's Travis Kelce. And, we look at Sam Laporta. I was like, Sam Laporta, Pat Fryermuth. He's Pat Fryermuth. But now I'm watching Sam Laporta. I'm like, I think his ceiling is Pat Freiermuth. I don't think that's his floor or like that's a 1-for-1 comp. So now, who we grabbing at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? People still have Dalton Kincaid number 1. Like, I can't do that because he didn't test and he didn't do anything else. And I don't even know if he's going to do his pro day. So everything is just, you're just basing upon film. And his production. Yes, very productive tight end. But for me, Dalton Kincaid is more like a Mike Gesicki. Sure, he's a freak athlete. Great receiver. But that he needs to work on his blocking. And what we see now from tight ends is if you can't block, okay, you're not going to be in the field. You need to be a good blocker. So for me, top 5 right now would be Washington, Mayar. Let me just grab my rankings here. We got Washington, Mayar, Musgrave, Kincaid, Sam Laporta. That'd be right now. And you can take Zach Kuntz later, or, Luke Schoonmaker later too. I like both of them, but they're projects. They need to work on stuff. They need to grow another size too. And then, Kuntz needs to get a little bit bigger and better at blocking. All right, so, we'll just wrap up here with some of the combine stuff and some of these guys. So some of the biggest risers that I saw, obviously Anthony Richardson. Where does he go? He went from being a late first-round rookie pick to now he's being talked about being maybe number 1. If the Panthers pick him at 101 in the NFL draft, you have to take him. Like, he goes from being a good, prospect to being like top 10, like top tier elite. And I've been a huge ARich fan, but I don't even know if I can do that. Another big riser, I think Washington, man. I think he really jumped up draft boards, and so did JSN. I think they're gonna go a lot higher now than we were originally expecting, and maybe even some of these tight ends. I think Mayar probably locked himself in as a first round. So did Darnell Washington. As grades, I still think they'd probably end up going in the second, just because tight ends still take a while to develop, and it's very difficult to waste a first-round pick on a guy that you can't set, be day one, and be elite. I don't think any of these tight ends are like Kyle Pitts or Rob Gronkowski in their prime on day one, or T.J. Hawkinson day one. I love me some T.J. Hawkinson, but you still can't take tight ends like that in the first round. So they get first-round grades, but they're second-round picks. Some of the other guys, third, fourth round picks. Some of the guys that I still want to keep my eye on, the guys that I still am high on going forward, I still like Sean Tucker, still like Dwayne McBride or Debo McBride. I still like Zach Evans, but just can't do it until I start seeing stuff. He's probably this year's Isaiah Spiller. I hate to say it as of right now, but if he does his pro day and he destroys his pro day, all right, then we're talking back. He's gonna be in the top 5 again. Generic Prince, another one to keep an eye out. Jonathan Mingo, I really liked. A.T. Perry, I still like. Cedric Tillman, I thought he had a good one. Rashid Rice ended up redeeming himself for me. Talk about Zay Flowers as well. Probably haven't talked enough about Zay Flowers, but I'm sure you guys have probably seen so much about him. I said that, for a complete upside play, he's Antonio Brown, but, he's probably Tyler Lockett, or, he'll be a serviceable wide receiver too. I don't think he'll be a wide receiver 1. I think there's only maybe 2 wide receiver 1s in this class. Even then, that's probably for upside. JSN and QJ are probably my real wide receiver 1A and B, and probably going to be alphas. Can be the number 1 on their teams. So go ahead and get some of these trades that have just been going on too. That's just been happening recently. So right here, I'll put all the trades up right here. So we got Pat Mahomes or Deontay Johnson, Trey Lance, 101 and 301. So for me, I want Pat Mahomes. I want the elite player. I want that top tier player, especially if it's in Superflex. All right, Jahan Dotson or Gabe Davis and a 205. So 205 would be we'll just throw in Devon, Achane, or Kendrick Miller. We'll throw in Kendrick Miller. So do you want Gabe Davis and Kendrick Miller or Jahan Dotson? I will probably take Jahan Dotson. I'll take Dotson, and I think Terry McLaurin eventually goes down in value, and Dotson keeps growing, and he's first rounder. All right, next one we got is Kenneth Gainwell, the 105 or 106, versus Javonte Williams and the 206. Gainwell, I have been a fan of for a long time. I've liked him coming out of Memphis. Been a good player, but I don't think he has that much value, but those 105 and 106 mans for Javonte and the 206, yeah, sign me up for the picks. That is you're basically getting JSN and QJ. So JSN, QJ, and Gainwell for Javonte. Yes, give me the picks. Give me the picks. All right, and we got the 104 for the 106, 206, and 209. So this could be Anthony Richardson for, we'll say Gibbs. Achane, maybe Kendrick Miller down here, 209. Maybe Marvin Mims. So Mims, Kendra, or Sean Tucker, and Gibbs. I'll probably take the pick here, the 104 for Superflex, and it can guarantee you getting one of those top 3 quarterbacks. Maybe even get lucky, somehow get Bijan. Congrats. That 104 spot became one of the most valuable pieces that you could have before the combine. Post combine at 104 pick is nice, right? You can get JSN, Gibbs, ARich. It's a nice spot. All right, now we got Olave, 202, 105, 305, 4. AJ Brown, 2025, 4th round, 2023, 112, and then 209. All right, we'll go ahead and break this down. So Olave and the 202. Will probably be as much as AJ Brown. So 105 and 112, 209. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the Olave side here. I can see the appeal of the Brown side, especially if you're trying to win. I'm probably just going to get rid of those picks anyway. But a chance at, Olave and JSN, yeah, I'll take. And then 202, that's like Sean Tucker, or, Devon Achane, Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, or even as tight end premium, that's Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer. Yeah, I'll take the Olave side. All right, Montgomery, Devontae Smith, 302 for 105 and 305. So basically, Devontae Smith for your shot at JSN or Gibbs. I like Devontae Smith, and I think this is probably what he's worth. But I think JSN or Gibbs will probably have more value going forward, especially into 2023. So I'll probably take the pick here for long-term, short-term, right now, I'll probably take Smith, and then you can flip him for probably more. All right, Metcalf, and the 108 for A.J. Dillon and Garrett Wilson. Nah, I'll take Metcalf and Quentin Johnston's over A.J. Dillon and Garrett Wilson. The 110 or Jahan Dotson. I'll probably go with Dotson here. It depends what you can get at 110, but I think Dotson's probably a nice piece that you can have. A nice wide receiver 2 on your team, with maybe low-end wide receiver 1 upside, versus a guy late in the 110. Maybe you're getting Downs or Jalen Hyatt or Flowers. But then, I mean, they're basically Jahan Dotson anyway. So why not just get the sure thing right now? I'll take Dotson. I went ahead and posted my Dynasty rankings up on my Patreon. I'll put that in the description down below. I put up my grades for some of these rookies. And, you know, if you look at the grade colors and, you know, previous years, it's all on there. I have my sheets and my models for these guys. I'm not done with all of them. We still don't have the draft capital. And some of these guys don't have their pro days, so we need to get those as well. But some of them I'm very confident in. And, you know, I think this class is better than even I expect. You know, I've been hyping up this class for a while now, but I think it's better than even I expected. A lot of these guys will be nice assets that you can build around going forward. We're going to put a lot more stuff there. You can send us your teams. We'll help you build them. We'll give you a nice breakdown of your team. You could even put it on our podcast, put on our videos, and we'll share our thoughts to you and give us your opinions. You could even maybe hop on a call with us, and you can talk to us about it. All right, with that being said, that concludes our, today's podcast for the Dynasty Buffs. Had a good time talking to you guys today. I really appreciate you coming out and watching our video. And if you got any questions, comments, throw them down in the comments section below. Again, you can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Buffs. I'm H or Guy. My DMs are open. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, turn those notifications on, as our podcasts are coming out weekly, and I'm going to be posting more and more videos in our breakdowns. I'll be posting a Israel Abanikanda video soon, and then followed by some other videos. And I'll make a video on all the running backs, their comparisons, their floors and ceilings, what I see. And we'll do a video and a recap of the NFL draft. All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. Enjoy your day wherever you're watching this, whatever time you're watching this. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.